Now, through working together, we discovered each other's strengths. And there were some obvious ones, and then we had a few surprises. Evan, who's our expert at writing political and scientific explanations, is also really good at writing spoiled, annoying girls, which was a huge surprise. And then I'm more of our sort of intuitive daydreamer, on whom we actually based Naya, the main character, a little bit. But it turned out that I'm also really good at writing military scenes, which I didn't even know about that. So, and then we had some obvious ones, like Ira, who's our astrologist, among other things, was great at quick character building because astrology is all about horoscopes and they're all about specific personalities. If you look at our website, you'll also find a whole section on horoscopes. Here's a screenshot of it. And you can find out which character you would be given what your zodiac sign is. So that's a fun little personality test if you like it. And then Kai loves sports. So she wrote all the cool sporty swim scenes and competitions that we have in our book.
Actually, do you still have the four sports teams? Mayflower, Revenge, Endeavor, Victory? Yes. Cool. The two of us used to be on Mayflower, so the red team. And in Blue Out, there are also 4 swim teams, and they're called the Seals, the Barracudas, the Sharks, and the Rays. And on the first pages of our book, you can see a map of Cape Harmony, where Naya lives, and in the corners of that map, you've got the 4 animals that represent the swim teams, and the Barracudas are the red team, so essentially our team, and they're actually a little bit dark. But don't let me go on about sports, because I could really talk about that for days.
So back to our group. The most important thing about writing as a group is that it added diversity to our story. We all knew that we wanted to write something that has a lot of humor, but through working together and through getting the characters flowing and the dialogue flowing, we ended up with a lot more witty comments and funny comebacks than we expected, which is really good because dystopia can be quite a dark topic, and we definitely didn't want the book to be gloomy in any way. We wanted it fun.
You might, of course, ask why write dystopia in the first place in that case. But that's because dystopia looks to the future. And the future is the world that we're shaping. It's the world that we're going to live in. It's the world that we have an influence on. Dystopia also takes the what-if scenario to its worst possible level. It's almost like a little disaster simulation. And in our case, it's a glimpse into a future where global flooding has actually happened. So we found a video on YouTube. I hope that it actually plays. Let's see. What do we need to do here?
I think you might just need to click that middle.
Okay. And when the marker, you can watch that run in the background, and when the marker hits around 600 meters, that'll give you an idea of how much of our current world is left in Naya's future. And that's not actually all that much.
Yeah. So you can slowly see more and more of, you can see it probably at the top of Russia the most. You can see how the water is eating up the land. But in Naya's world, flooding isn't the only problem. There have been a lot of knock-on effects. Resources are running low, dictatorships have emerged, and the novel kind of explores how humanity respond to that. And there are moments where Naya, she could take the easy road, she could conform, she could stay safe, or she could stand up for what she knows is right. In other words, dystopia kind of prompts us to think about the things that are wrong in our world and what we might do to influence them, and how far are we willing to go to try and change things. In the beginning, Naya feels quite small. She feels quite powerless in her world. And the problems she's facing, they are huge. And that's also true for our world, because how do we stop the ocean from being polluted with rubbish? Or how do we stop the rainforest from being chopped down? Or how do we stop corrupt politicians from thinking only of enriching themselves and not from thinking of our future generations? Now, Naya finds people who are good and people who are bad in our journey among the upper ranks of this world. And that makes things less black and white for her, because she understands how complex it is to change things and how powerful the bad people are and how difficult that makes it for even the good people who are powerful to have any kind of influence in this world.
Let's see, there we go. Nope.
Stuck at 800 readers.
There we go, there's the 600. Now, when writing as a group of 4, of course, everyone has their own ideas and their own imagination about what characters and places should look like. So we put together a mood board. That's something that gets used in movies a lot. It's basically a combination of photos that display a certain kind of atmosphere or a certain kind of character. And you can see some of the images that we used on our slideshow. These here are the images that we used for how we imagined the houses on Ararat Heights, the place where the elites live. And then on the next slide, you can see some inspirations for one of our characters, Gillen, and for one of our chapters, the 3rd chapter. Now, our story also has a fantasy element. And when writing, that really is that fun element that is magical and it leaves anything and everything possible. Anything can happen. But it also leaves endless possibilities of what places and characters could look like. So in that respect, the mood board was really helpful. For instance, Naya has a necklace, a trident necklace, that's quite central to the plot. And this necklace was given to her by her father, whom she's never met because he disappeared when she was very young. And so, because that necklace was so crucial to our plot, it's also up there on the mood board.
The mood board was also super helpful when creating our characters. Naya didn't just appear at the end of an aisle on a train like Harry Potter did, although that would have been super helpful. But we used images for inspiration, and we based the characters also a little bit on ourselves, on our areas of expertise, on our personal interests, things that we knew.
And that's also why some of our characters were easier to develop than others. We've got one character, Arlo, for instance, who is the typical scholar, and he likes to sit in a library full of books, and I think that every author can relate to that to a certain extent. But Ira and Evan are more closely connected to that world, because Ira is an academic and a doctor of philosophy, and she has taught at university level, so she can relate well to the researchers and the teachers in our story. And then Evan works in the world of finance and business, and he knows a lot about the world of industry and geopolitics. Now, all of you probably haven't met many unpleasant businessmen, or at least I really hope you haven't. But I'm sure that Evan has met his share, and maybe that's what made him so good at crafting some of the villains in our story, especially the villains who are tied to politics and business.
And then the two of us, we really love sports. And we watch a lot of military movies. So what we enjoyed the most was writing about the military government in this world. And they're the ones called Aqua 8 from the book. And that includes some of our villains, but it also includes Gillen, our hero. In a lot of ways, Gillen is the kind of person that we'd aspire to be too. He's brave, he's heroic, he's a very good fighter. And he wants to make the world a better place, which is a great thing to have in a hero. In Gillen, we also find a lot of the ethics of martial arts. And so if you're wondering what the two of us kind of like to do in our spare time, what our hobbies are, Kai is really good at Kung Fu, so that's one of her main hobbies, which is a Chinese martial art. And here you can see a little video of what that is like.
Now that last scene was actually the two of us doing just a little bit of impromptu screen combat. As I mentioned, I worked as a movie extra occasionally, and that was research for another story that I've written, which is a crime action story that will come out soon. And as a movie extra, I did a lot of fun stuff. I got to stand next to Chewbacca on the set of Solo, and then I was an Athens rioter in the fourth Jason Bourne. So there you go, being a movie extra on the side is lots of fun.
So the more central our character was to our story, the more we searched for different inspirations for that character, like even other stories or history. And we said that Naya, our main character, was partially based on me, but we all relate to her on a certain level because she is our main character. And she's very intuitive, and she's very connected to the ocean, which is true for three of our writers. Both myself, Kai, and Ira all grew up on the Greek island Idra. And Ira, when she was little, swam in competitions in butterfly, which is the style that Naya swims in. And Kai and me have both done our scuba diving certification, which helped us a lot for writing underwater scenes. And we actually met our diving instructor through St. Catherine school. So that's some great memories there. Now, to share a little bit about myself, the first short film that I acted in was actually filmed underwater. So I'll show you a little bit of the scene from that. I have no idea how to skip to the next slide from here.
Let's see.
There, okay. There you go. So this short film was about a warrior who is trying to save his wife because she's been dragged underwater by a demon. And he ends up sacrificing himself for her life because the demon won't let her go. So he has to have a little battle. She also has a necklace of his, which is what she's looking for in that scene. So there's a little Naya reference there too. It was the first role I had. It was kind of a dream role for me because I got to do everything. It was a romantic story. I was in a white dress. So after that, roles just got more boring, and I had to find something new and exciting to do. The dream was fulfilled.
So another turning point in our writing was finding Naya's voice, and that's actually a really tricky thing in creative writing, and a really central thing is finding the voice of your narrative. It probably took us until halfway through the first draft until we discovered it, and then it ended up being funny and bubbly and quirky and very honest. Naya is a very honest narrator, which sort of brings us to our next reading.
Yes, but first, even though we've lost the screen. First, some fun internet stuff. You can see our name of our website there, mirandastormbooks.com. And you can also see our Instagram and our Twitter, which is just mirandastorm_. And this is where we post lots of fun pics about the book, lots of fun stuff about what we're doing, and of course, any events that we have going on at the time. There's also something else fun to look forward to soon, which is all about fun reading, which is what we're hoping to inspire, and that is UK World Book Day on the 2nd of March. It's a worldwide celebration of books, and it was founded by UNESCO in 1995, and it's all about reading for the love of reading.
So now the second scene that we're going to read out takes place a short while after that first scene, and Naya is hanging out on the beach, playing volleyball with a couple of her friends, but then the elites show up and crash the game, and there's an argument. And Naya challenges the elites to a volleyball match, but the tricky thing is the winner gets to stay on the beach and the loser has to leave for good.
Thank you.
So I'm starting out with the game. 40 minutes in, the score is still 21-21. What energy the elite boys and Jessica are wasting on taunting us and showing off, we are using to our advantage. They don't even realize that their goofing around is costing them points. As for the two other elite girls, they just stand at the back of the court looking bored. Want me to show them the fist of thunder? Duke asks Jessica cockily. He picks up the ball and pounds it across the net so that it overshoots the baseline by yards. Jonathan runs and gets it. I expect Neil or Ethan to comment something like, "Whoa, fist of blunder," but they don't. They're fully focused. Neil is back in serving position. I see calm concentration in his eyes. His first serve is a straight ace, the second one too. On the third, the elites somehow manage to keep the ball in play, but then it's over to us again, and Emily sets it for Ethan, who plays it toward the two elite girls at the back. Neither of them moves as the ball slams into the sand between them. "What are you doing, you plankton brains?" Duke fires at them. "This game is stupid," one of them complains. "And it was her ball." "No, it wasn't, it was hers." Duke angrily snatches the ball up and tosses it across the net. "Time to assert our authority," he hisses. His henchmen nod and grin gleefully. Neil takes the serve. The elites play it back to us, and Emily fists it over to Ralph. He's by the net, ready to play it straight across. As he jumps for it, though, the spiky-haired boy opposite knocks into him from the other side of the net. Ralph's smash turns into a vertical shot that arcs high into the air. "Foul!" Neil shouts furiously, but the elites don't pay attention to him. I fling myself into a full dive, arms stretched out. The ball zooms down fast. Just as I hit the sand, it ricochets off my wrists, and I catch a glimpse of it rising across the net toward the two elite girls at the back. "Out!" Duke shouts. "Come on, that was in by a foot," Ralph says. "It was out, beanstalk," cries Jessica. I get up and brush myself down. Then I freeze in horror. My necklace, it's gone. I must have lost it when I dived for the ball. I scan the sand looking for a glint of gold, but I don't see it anywhere. "Hey, if cheating's the only way you can win, go right ahead." Neil's shout pulls my attention back to the game. Duke's got the ball on his side of the court and is about to serve. I feel myself burning with fury. Like they could win any other way, I say loud enough for everyone to hear. It wipes the smile right off Duke's face. "What was that, shelter girl?" "You heard me." I have no idea how I've got the courage to talk to him like that. He starts walking toward me, the ball clutched under his arm. "Okay, it's your ball." He holds it out to me. I reach for it, but he pulls it back again and flings it into the air. "If you get it out of the water before me." He pounds his fist against it. "Boom! The fist of thunder!" he squawks as it soars far out into the bay. His henchmen roar with laughter. "Yeah, Duke." I watch in disgust as they gather round and high-five him. "Hey," I find my voice again. "You can't just change the rules." He smirks. "Can't I?" "Hey, what's this?" Jessica says. She's a few paces away, dangling something from her fingers. "My necklace." "Give that back," I shout and make a grab for it. She jumps aside, grinning. "Lost something, shelter girl?" The other elites giggle. "I didn't know you could afford pretty jewelry." "Give it back," I shout again. Jessica holds it up in the air teasingly. "Oh, you want it back? You play by our rules."